Once the young sorcerer found out that it was Aladdin who was responsible for the death of his brother, the young sorcerer made it his mission in life to kill Aladdin. The young sorcerer made his way to China, and once there, he rested. The young sorcerer took his time in the city. He spent the time learning all he could about Aladdin. He learned that the people of the city valued Aladdin and saw him as a good person. The young sorcerer was not sure of a way to kill Aladdin. One day he heard talk of a woman. Never hearing of this woman, the young sorcerer asked to know more about her and why she was so famous. It turned out that this woman's name was Fatima. She was a woman who possessed incredible powers. A couple of times a week, she would come into the city, and great crowds of sick and injured people would come around her. Fatima would spend her time touching and healing those that were sick. Her magical ways were admired throughout the city. After the young sorcerer learned about this, he was able to come up with a plan. The young sorcerer went at night to the place where Fatima lived. He snuck into her home and killed her. Then he took her clothes and created a disguise so he looked like her. He then proceeded to bury her body so no one would find her. The next day, the young sorcerer, disguised as Fatima, made his way into the city. Instantly there formed a large crowd around him, of all different sorts of people, asking to be healed. The young sorcerer muttered some fake prayers, and the people believed that he was the real Fatima. The young sorcerer made his way through the city until he came in front of Aladdin's palace. Once the young sorcerer was in front of the palace, he stopped and continued to give the people fake blessings and healings. The crowd continued to grow and became so loud that the princess was able to hear them from inside the palace. The princess, wondering what all the noise was about, asked the servant what was going on. The servant told her that it was Fatima, healing people outside the palace. The princess was a huge fan of Fatima and had long heard tales of her magical abilities. The princess told the servant to go send for Fatima so that she could learn more about her. The servant went out, and the crowd, seeing the servant from the palace, created a path so that she could make it through. The servant told the young sorcerer, in disguise, that the princess wished to speak with him, and the young sorcerer replied that he would be happy to. The young sorcerer made his way into the palace and was brought to the same room as the princess. The princess told the young sorcerer in disguise that she wanted to learn more about her and what she did and how to live a life as generous as she, Fatima, had lived. The princess told who she thought was Fatima that she wanted training in all of this and asked if Fatima would be kind enough to teach her. The young sorcerer listened to all of this and was very happy to hear this. He was delighted to know that his plan was going so well. He knew that it would be easier to kill Aladdin from within the palace, so he made up a lie. The young sorcerer told the princess that he, as Fatima, had to conduct prayers and routines, and that it would be too much work to travel from home to her home and continue to give blessings and train the princess, so he would have to decline. When the princess heard this, she came up with a plan. She told who she thought was Fatima that she would allow her to live in the palace. Fatima would have a room and whatever she needed to conduct her prayers and blessings. When the young sorcerer heard this, he was overjoyed that the princess had fallen for his trap. The young sorcerer, as Fatima, agreed to this and came to live in the palace with Aladdin and the princess. The princess told the young sorcerer that she wished to eat with her, and then they could begin training in the evening. The young sorcerer knew that she would figure out who he really was if he revealed his face to eat. He told her that he would eat the simplest of foods in his room, and there, after he was finished, he would come join her to start the training. The princess ate by herself, and the young sorcerer ate by himself in his room. Once he was finished, the princess sent for him. The princess gave the young sorcerer in disguise a tour of the palace. At the end of the tour, the princess asked the woman what she thought of the great halls they were in. The young sorcerer told the princess that it was a very beautiful hall, but it needed one more thing if it was to be the most incredible hall in the world. The young sorcerer told the princess that the hall needed a roc's egg. The princess, not knowing what that was, asked the young sorcerer what it was. The sorcerer told her that it was an egg from a large bird that could only be found in the mountains. After their meeting, they went their separate ways, but it continued to bother the princess that the hall needed this roc's egg. The princess waited into the night for Aladdin to return, and she told him that the hall was really great, but what she thought it needed to be the best in the world was a roc's egg. Aladdin replied that he would have it done immediately and left the room. In private, he pulled out his lamp and rubbed it, and out came the genie. Aladdin told the genie that he wanted this roc's egg brought to the hall and hung in the middle. The genie grew angry at his request. It turned out the roc's egg was his master, and the genie told Aladdin that after everything he had done, he would have him bring his master to the hall and hang it like some ornament. The genie told Aladdin that what he wished for was so bad that the genie would burn down his palace and everyone in it. Aladdin, scared, had nothing to say. Then the genie continued and told Aladdin that he knew this was not the wish of Aladdin or the wish of the princess. The genie told Aladdin that the princess had gotten the idea from a woman named Fatima, but she was in fact deceived. The woman was actually the brother of the old sorcerer that Aladdin had killed. The genie continued to tell Aladdin that this young sorcerer's intention was to kill Aladdin, and with that the genie disappeared. Aladdin went back to the princess and told her that he had a very bad headache. The princess told Aladdin that this holy woman Fatima could come and heal him. Aladdin agreed to this meeting and waited in the room while the princess went out to get Fatima. Moments later, the princess found Fatima and returned. The young sorcerer, who knew this was his moment to kill Aladdin, held a dagger under his robes. Aladdin, who knew the young sorcerer's intention, was able to figure out where the hidden dagger was. Aladdin, still pretending to be in so much pain, told Fatima that he needed to be healed and asked if she would come closer to bless him. The young sorcerer came towards Aladdin, and once he was close, quickly drew his dagger. But Aladdin, prepared, knocked the dagger out of the young sorcerer's hand, caught it. Then Aladdin stabbed the sorcerer in the heart. The princess was horrified that Aladdin had killed the holy woman Fatima, but Aladdin showed the princess that it was really an impostor. Then Aladdin told the princess what the genie told him, that this was in fact the brother of the old sorcerer, and that he had come to kill Aladdin himself. After these events, years had passed with peace for Aladdin and the princess. Eventually, the Sultan died in his sleep, leaving just the princess as his heir. Aladdin and the princess ruled over the land. Aladdin and the princess were good and loved rulers and were famous for their kindness even after they had died.